Hey guys, how's it going? So I got inspiration to make a video real quick. The more I think about it though, it may take a lot longer to explain. I think it falls into the category of philosophy, although I think this philosophy or way of looking is a good step in understanding God or non-divisibility or things or the supposed experience is going on. Because I imagine a lot of you who are watching my videos are interested in enlightenment or God or self-discovery, and the framework in which you are starting from, as you see it, doesn't appear to be any of those things. So let's start just diving into this philosophy. Alan Watts has touched upon this in many different ways. There's some philosophers as well. So let's just grab this object here. Now, it could have many names. It could have many different experiences from you, the watcher. If I hold it like this, is it different than if I hold it like this? Or is it still, we'll call it a towel. Is it still a towel? 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 I imagine a lot of you would say yes, it's still a towel. Now, if I ripped it up into many pieces and threw them in the air, would you say there's still a towel? Or there's many towels? Would you even call it a towel anymore? So this kind of brings in this notion of how you see and think and talk. Like, what makes something something? What makes it no longer that thing? Same is true with this thing called a body. Like, if an arm is removed, is it still your body? Is the arm that's no longer connected to you still your body? At what point does your body no longer become your body? Or what point do you no longer become you? If you remove all your arms and your legs and your head, are you still you? Or are you all those things separated? Or do you become a new object? Do you become dead? Is dead the now thing that you become? So pay attention. This is an interesting thing about language and how you see and how you experience. Let's look at the towel again. Now, we'll just say this towel is supposedly here, whatever that means. Here is an abstract concept, but we'll call it here. Now, if you zoom into it with like a magnifying glass, it's a really good one, a very high-powered one. Eventually, supposedly, you'll see the cotton, the yarn of it. Now, does the towel stop becoming the towel and then there's yarn? Or is the yarn the towel? Or is the yarn happening separately from the towel? Is it two separate things? Let's say you go further into the yarn, and then you get to supposed things called atoms. Do you now have atoms as objects, and yarn as objects, and towel as an object? Are these three separate objects happening independently? Or aren't they always one? Like, you don't have atoms happening independently of towel. And if you're supposed to go into the atoms, you don't have whatever that is independently of atoms, independently of towel. And then we go into what that is. And you go into what that is. You don't have those independent of each other into infinitum or into however far you can go back until you get to maybe a ground of suchness foundation. And then if you do get to a foundation, is the foundation ever separate, independent from atoms? Yarn, towel, you. This is something you have to think about, feel into. Maybe have an experience of what I'm trying to point to, which is oneness or something in the realm of. Now, there's a second concept I wanted to share called the perfection of oneness, or the perfection of what is. So imagine you were to reach a place where you really saw, oh, it's all one. It's all this. It's all God. It's all one. We'll call it one thing, even though ultimately it's not a thing. Oneness isn't a thing. And there's no outside of it. And there's no meaning maker saying this is what it means. You'd have something that is there, right? It's there without a label, without a thing calling this would be the right way and that would be the wrong way, or this is made correctly and this is made incorrectly. This is made well and this is made poorly. It would just be what it is. It would just be the itness of it. Not meaningless, not something that has meaning. It's just the itness. You could say that's perfection, because it can never be imperfect. It's whole. It's there can never be anything incorrectly out of place, which is a lot of how us humans seem to feel like things happen or go. We have stories that have a start, usually a tragedy. It went poorly, and then things came together. Good triumphed over evil, and then the story seems to end in a positive. And that seems to be like how we divide and think about the world a lot. But there's things that went right and there are things that went wrong. Events that were unfortunate and shouldn't have happened, and then things that corrected those or made it better. And what I'm pointing to is this is something that is already always completely never imperfect. It never has anything that went wrong. It never could go wrong. There is no wrong that could have happened or can happen. Because on a psychological level, within Western, perhaps some Eastern thought, is this notion of like, oh, I had a traumatic event in my life, and therefore this damaged me, and there's now something wrong with me or with life. And this is just, you could say, thought or perception and emotion, which aren't, well, I won't go into that, but we'll just call it that. And this influences, or seems to influence, an experience of a you. And sometimes when you take a peek into psychedelics or meditation or contemplation or watching a video like this, you get like a hit or a connection or a sense of what I'm pointing to or talking about. And it can have this radical, like, inherent shifting effect where in seeing the perfection that is the case, the stories of your own imperfection and how things didn't go right or what damaged you permanently or impermanently, however you see it uniquely, are suddenly seen as false, or you have a contrast in which your story doesn't match up with. And sometimes that can be a permanent shift, and sometimes it seems like you have more and more experiences of maybe going into this oneness, and it creates this switch of dynamic. Yeah, I think I've said a lot. Again, ultimately, this is just a energetic communication with symbols and words, which is always the case. And if you got something supposedly, great. If you didn't, no need to mull over it, as they say. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. If you have any topics you want me to talk about, please say so, and I may make a video on it. All right. Take care.